Durango and La Plata County could see nearly $500 million in construction for public works projects in the next 5 to 10 years. Ska Brewing releases its new comic book that took 19 years to publish, and we debut a new lifestyle feature called Chef's Secret, sponsored by the Durango Coffee Company. Stay tuned for these stories and more on this edition of Inside Durango News.
This portion of Inside Durango News has been brought to you by the Payroll Department, providing La Plata County businesses with personal, professional, and accurate payroll services since 1993.
You're watching Inside Durango News, bringing you local content that matters. I'm Ashley Dickson, coming to you from the Durango Public Library. The list just keeps growing. A new arts center, a new sewer plant, a new airport, a new highway interchange. The number of public works projects proposed for Durango and La Plata County during the next 10 years could total a staggering $500 million. But could taxpayers foot a $500 million construction bill? They won't have to, say local government officials. And if the region's typical fondness for collaboration and forging strategic partnerships is any indication, the proposed construction programs will be setting the stage for long-term population growth with a healthy economy at a reasonable cost to local taxpayers. Here's what the community wish list includes. A new airport terminal. Early initial estimates place construction at $143 million for a completely new facility. That estimate, of course, would be refined significantly as the Durango City Council and La Plata County Commissioners come to an agreement on what to build. J'Aviation, the consulting firm hired to help plan for a new airport terminal, is expected to meet with city and county officials on November 10th to present refined estimates for the 3 options for expansion. Option 1 would expand the existing terminal. Option 2 would build a new terminal next to the old one, and the current facility would be converted to offices and other commercial space. Option 3, the most expensive, would build a completely new terminal on the east side of existing runways. City and county officials are expected to choose a preferred alternative in November. Funding would come from a combination of state and federal transportation resources, along with matching city and county funds. Durango City Manager Ron LeBlanc said the airport terminal project is a perfect example of leveraging funds from elsewhere to build a facility that will last for 30 to 40 years.
The airport, I think, is a good example of a countywide effort that we need to match state and federal funds for the airport. It seems to be a pretty good deal for the city, regardless of what option you pick, and there'll be 3 options presented on Monday, November 10, to both the Board of County Commissioners and the City Council. So whatever option is decided, we're looking at a local match somewhere around 30 to 35 million. So when you consider you leverage that and get over 100 million from other taxing sources, it seems like a pretty good deal that'll help a facility move into the next 30, 35 years.
City water and sewer expansion projects are also on the list of construction programs scheduled for the near future. Current estimates place the construction of expanded facilities at more than $80 million. Early estimates to expand and upgrade the sewage treatment plant at Santa Rita total about $55 million, and the remaining would be used to build a water treatment plant at the base of Ridges Basin Dam, along with other water infrastructure. Water and sewer fee increases will cover the costs. More on this project later in the news. The Science, Theater, Education, Arts, and Music project is gaining steam. Construction estimates await the completion of a feasibility study. The proposed facility will replace the current Durango Arts Center. Projected proponents hope the facility will be located just south of the Powerhouse Science Center. But again, a final decision will be based on the feasibility study. The Steam Park is another example of a multi-jurisdictional dance that will have to occur if it's to be successful.
Well, there's actually 3 different processes underway. First of all, the fire district is doing a cost of service study, and that'll provide them with information on where a new fire station should be located so that it's located where the most incidents occur, and that'll help them find land to build a new fire station and get them out of River City Hall. The Steam Park project is currently, we're underway with a feasibility study, and that'll, the results of that will come to us early next year, and that'll provide us data with whether this is feasible in terms of financing, or do we have to change the program that they want to produce at that facility. And then lastly, the city has a facilities master plan in the 2015 budget, and we're going to evaluate all the city facilities to determine what are the priorities and how much it'll cost to improve the facilities.
According to the Steam Park website, the Steam Park Committee will seek a combination of private donations, grants, and public funds. Other communities that have built Arts Center like the proposed by Steam Park have reaped economic benefits well beyond the cost of construction. The City of Durango will ask city taxpayers this spring to renew the city's half-cent sales tax designated for parks and recreation projects. Improvements identified in the city's Park and Recreation Master Plan already total more than $125 million, just about the same amount of money that the tax is expected to generate for the next 20 years. Committee members with the Steam Park project hope the tax proposal will include language that will allow some of the revenues from the half-cent sales tax to be used to develop that project. State and federal funds are expected to cover the entire cost of the remaining construction on the Grandview Exchange, also known as the Bridge to Nowhere. The Colorado Department of Transportation is close to announcing a preferred alternative to connect U.S. Highway 550 with the exchange. Cost is estimated at $92 million. And finally, the Southern Ute Community Action Program has announced that it will seek Economic Enterprise Zone designation for a proposed $12 million Child Development Center for its Head Start program in Ignacio. SUCAP plans to raise private donations and grants to fund the project. All these projected totals an estimated $480 to more than $500 million, and the bottom line is expected to grow. Later in the newscast, we'll visit with La Plata County Finance Director Diane Sorensen, who reports that the county will also be seeking tax increases to adequately fund the Road and Bridge Department, and millions of dollars is deferred road maintenance. A Community Long-Term Finance Committee is expected to present several proposals to fund the road improvements before the county commissioners within the next few weeks. Moni Grushkin's up next with an interview with Local First Managing Director Christy Seiferton.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm Moni Grushkin, and I'm here with Christy Streifert, and she is the Managing Director with Local First. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the Local First organization and what it represents, and what's the exciting news that's coming up.
Okay. Well, Local First is a nonprofit business alliance here in Durango, and we support locally owned independent businesses, and we help educate the public to the benefits of buying locally.
Great. We have a lot of awesome business owners and local businesses here. It's probably something that makes Durango uniquely characteristic in that respect, is it not?
Yep. The local businesses here, the people embrace them, and the local businesses love their customers.
Fantastic. So where did the idea come from to develop this movement and actually create an organization that focuses solely on promoting local businesses?
Well, I think people realize that when money is spent in a local economy, it circulates more times than if you, for example, buy online. So those local businesses, they receive the money, they give the money to other local nonprofits, and it goes around, and everybody is enriched.
So, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are probably thinking, I'd love to support a local business, but, you know, I'm really on a tight budget. How do you convince them that spending just that little bit more can actually be more beneficial long run?
Well, I think one way to think of it is, sure, you can save a buck or two by shopping online, but if you shop downtown, those businesses are established for a long time, and they're there when you need them. So, I mean, what is the benefit of saving a buck when your downtown dries up and blows away?
That's right. And of course, you know, when you're downtown and you look at somebody and you talk to somebody, they remember you, and those folks online really have no idea who you are, do they?
That's right. It's a very impersonal experience shopping online.
So what's coming out? I understand we're coming into our 7th year. Is that correct for the Locals First coupon book?
That's right. Our Be Local book is coming out in just a couple of weeks, and it's our 7th edition, and we really had a lot of fun with this one. It's got a lot of fun graphics. The reason that people love this book so much is that we put so much into it. The local artists, local graphic designers, local photographers all get together, and we have a theme, and the theme this year is farming as a metaphor for investing in your local economy.
Oh, fantastic. So I use the word coupon book, but this really is more than just a coupon book, isn't it?
It is.
So tell us a little bit about why it's more than just a coupon book.
Well, I mean, it is a coupon book, and you look forward to some of those really great coupons every year. But it's more than that. It's a way for our local independent businesses to either introduce themselves to you or remind you that they're here. And that the other thing that the book has is a lot of great photographs and a lot of great stories, and businesses have a chance to tell their stories in there.
Great. So where can you get one of these books?
So the books are sold at our local retailers. There are about 10 or 15 local shops that you can get them in. So
okay, and for a business to participate or be in the book, what does it take?
It just takes them being an independently owned business. That means that their owners live here and that they're not part of a chain or a franchise.
Okay.
So they're truly unique.
Wonderful. And how many businesses would you say are represented now in the book?
Probably 190 businesses.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can get 100 coupons, let's say, for 190 businesses in this book.
It's a nice big book.
Wow, that's a lot more than I was anticipating or expecting. So if are you able to buy it online?
Nope, you need to buy it at one of our, you're funny.
I try.
One of our local businesses.
Okay, great. But if people wanted to learn more about your organization, you do have a website, correct?
We do, local-first.org.
Okay.
And I was going to mention that there's a lot of brand new businesses in the book this year. There's about 20 new members, and some of those are new businesses like Grassburger and Durango Outdoor Exchange, and businesses that are just getting established, and this is our chance to support them.
Well, fantastic. Well, Christy, we are out of time, but this has been wonderful talking with you, and we look forward to seeing the book in print shortly. What day will it come out?
It will be out around Thanksgiving.
Around Thanksgiving. So folks out there, if you're looking for that great gift to share for your family and friends at Thanksgiving or the holidays, stop by one of your local businesses and pick up a Local's First book. I'm Moni Grushkin, and thank you for joining us.
The southwest San Juan Mountains saw their first major snow at the beginning of November, so you may want to take some time to get your vehicle ready for winter driving. Find out what you should keep in your car for a winter survival kit. Coming up later in the program, I'm Scotty Smith. This portion of Inside Durango News has been brought to you by the Payroll Department, providing La Plata County businesses with personal, professional, and accurate payroll services since 1993.
First National Bank of Durango, committed to our community since 1882, where our friendly bankers help you achieve your financial goals.
We put you first!
Stop by one of our 5 locations or visit us online at fnbdurango.com.
This portion of local news has been brought to you by Alpine Bank. Locally owned, locally operated. Alpine Bank.
Welcome back to Inside Durango News. I'm Ashley Dickson, coming to you from the Durango Public Library. During the past 4 years, La Plata County government saw more than half of its property tax revenues disappear as the Great Recession took its toll on the county's financial health. That appears to be changing in 2015, and the county is expected to see the start of a fragile recovery. That's the message that County Finance Director Diane Sorensen shared with the La Plata County Commissioners last month.
For the first time since 2010, we're starting to see a recovery in our property tax revenues. We're expecting about $1.4 million increase in 2015, and additionally, and that's mostly related to the increase of price in natural gas. And 15 is a reassessment year, and we're hoping to see the property values rebounding as well, and so we'd see an additional increase in 2016.
Since 2010, the county saw property tax revenues drop from $30 million a year to $15 million. The county cut positions and deferred maintenance on a number of projects, including millions of dollars in road and bridge improvements. The county is predicting an increase of $1.4 million in property taxes in 2015, and sales tax revenues are expected to grow by 6%. Total operating budget revenues are expected to increase by 11%, or $6.8 million. That's good news for county employees who did not receive a cost of living salary increase this past year. In 2015, county employees will receive merit raises of 3 to 5% based on their performance evaluations from 2014. Employees who rated below expectations will not receive a raise. Employees who met or exceeded expectations will. Major capital projects include $4.2 million for road and bridge improvements, $1.3 million for the Wilson Gulch Road extension that will connect the Grandview interchange with Three Springs, and $5 million will fund county building expansion and remodeling projects, including new county administrative offices in the old Vectra Bank building at 11th Street and East 2nd Avenue. While the increase in sales and property tax revenues indicate a rebound from the recession, the county isn't likely to recover to pre-recession funding levels anytime soon. Hardest hit by the recent declines are the county's roadway and traffic infrastructure. A Citizens Long-Term Financing Committee has been working all year to develop a forecasting model to predict what the shortfalls in revenues will mean to the county's infrastructure. The committee also has studied options for increasing county revenues through some type of tax increase. Sorensen said that the committee will present its recommendations at a special meeting before the county commissioners on November 17th. In the meantime, a public hearing on the budget will be held from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, November 12th at the La Plata County Courthouse. You may download a copy of the proposed 2015 budget from the county's website at co.laplata.co.us. It looks like the city water and sewer users will get a reprieve from double-digit increases in their bills next year. During a recent budget discussion, the City of Durango had proposed increases of 80% for sewer fees and 50% for water fees next year. The increases were to fund the improvements to the sewer plant at Santa Rita Park and construction of a new water treatment plant at the base of Ridges Basin Dam, along with other water infrastructure. The sewer plant does not meet the current environmental regulations for the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus that it releases into the river. The City of Durango originally had until 2017 to meet higher water quality standards. That's why the City Council was considering a significant increase in fees to meet the deadline. Now the city will have a little bit more time to plan. The Colorado Department of Health and Environment extended the deadline to make the repairs until 2023. City Manager Ron LeBlanc said that the city's current sewer discharge permit is set to expire soon. The Health Department gave the city 5 years after that date to comply with the new requirements. LeBlanc said the City Council will take another look at user fees, but water and sewer customers can still expect an increase.
Projects, water and sewer are paid by user fees, and those rates have been held down. They're significantly lower than the state average. And as a result, we haven't kept up with capital maintenance of those facilities. At the same time, the rules have changed. The federal government has increased the standards for discharge into the river, so the state has obligated to enforce those new standards. We have a gold medal trout stream, so we have to produce an effluent that meets the new standards.
LeBlanc said that the deadline extension will allow the city to explore additional options for the sewer treatment system, including a proposal to combine resources with the South Durango Sanitation District and move the sewer treatment facilities south of their current location. The city's sewer treatment plant serves users north of the Home Depot store. The South Durango Sanitation District, a special taxing district independent of the city, serves the area south and east of Durango. The South Durango sewer plant is located about 2.5 miles south of the Home Depot on the Animas River at the Trestle Lane. In the meantime, the Durango City Council will meet on November 10th to review the budget and reconsider sewer and water user fees.
What we're going to propose to the council on the 10th is significantly less than where we started originally. We were able to pare down some of the projects and get better direction from the city council in terms of what rates they'd find acceptable. And the state has also, as we just indicated, given us more time on the sewer improvements.
An agenda for the November 10th meeting will be posted at the city's website at durangogov.com. An 1876 wagon road that was the first route in southwest Colorado to connect Animas City with Silverton has been designated a site on the La Plata County Register of Historic Places. If one local historian has his way, it will soon be on the National Register of Historic Places. National designation will make the road eligible for preservation grants and possible development as a hiking trail to the Animas River Canyon. Fort Lewis College history professor Andrew Guilford hopes to preserve approximately 3 miles of the old Animas Canyon Toll Road that connected Animas City to Silverton. The road followed the lower Animas Valley, climbed up the meadows below the Hermosa Cliffs, and down into the Animas River Canyon at the mouth of Cascade Creek. Only 3 miles of the original 29-mile route still exist. The remainder was destroyed by the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad or inundated by Electra Lake. Gulliford is chairman of the La Plata County Historic Preservation Commission. He wants to see the road become a hiking destination for active tourists who want to experience traveling conditions between the late 19th century mining community of Silverton and the agricultural community of Animas City.
The Animas Canyon Toll Road is one of the last untouched wagon roads left, certainly in Colorado, possibly even in the entire West. And what's amazing about it is it's never seen a bicycle wheel, it's never seen an ATV. A lot of it is underwater, it's under Electra Lake, but other parts of it are, and became part of the railroad bed, but other parts of it are intact. And talk about an 1874 experience, there are ways to hike this. And so the goal is, it takes a long time, but first the wagon road has been accepted by the La Plata County Commissioners onto the La Plata County Historical Register. That application is going forward to the State Register of Historic Places and, very exciting for us, the National Register of Historic Places.
The most accessible section of the toll road can be found at Chris Park, just south of Haviland Lake. The road follows a route northward to the Electra Lake Dam. On the north side of the lake, the road resumes and descends into the Animas River Canyon. The toll road provides an easier route into the canyon than the Mullis Divide Trail to the north. Mullis Divide descends 4 miles into the canyon with 32 switchbacks. The toll road is 2.5 miles only with 2 switchbacks, but access is limited because private property sits between U.S. Highways 550 and the toll road. The road is a significant artifact from the days when Silverton and Animas City developed the symbiotic relationship that helped the two towns grow.
What's important is at the very beginning of Silverton, the very beginning of Durango, this was the connecting link. And so food came from Animas City, the Animas Valley, Hermosa, and the hunger was up in Silverton. They had gold and silver, they didn't have vegetables. So there was a natural connection. There were some bad guys, outlaws who were on this trail. Sheriffs rode it back and forth. And then it was sort of frozen in time because the rest of the route became the railroad bed. So these segments are perfectly protected. Nobody needed them because then they could take the train or they would take another route into Silverton. So these are a few segments, and I'll be very excited if the National Register says, yes, they're important.
For more information about the Animas Canyon Toll Road, visit the county's website at co.laplata.co.us and click on the Historic Preservation tab under the Department and Elected Officials button. Stay tuned to find out why it took the characters at Ska 19 years to publish their story as a comic book. But first, sports with Jordan Alexander.
This portion of local news has been brought to you by Alpine Bank. Locally owned, locally operated. Alpine Bank.
Tad Brown always had a love for pizza. He dreamed of opening his own restaurant. It all started with a small joint on the corner. Then Alpine Bank entered the scene to help Tad's dream become a success story. And before long, Tad moved to a space large enough for 100 hungry customers. As a father of 2 boys, Tad stays plenty busy, but banking with Alpine Bank means he spends less time on finances and more time making, well, pizza. Alpine Bank, located in downtown Durango and Three Springs.
This week's sports news from Durango and further afield is brought to you by Mercy Regional Medical Center. Inspiring health.
I'm Jordan Alexander, here with your local sports action. In SKYHAWK news, both men's and women's soccer have concluded their regular season play last weekend. Beginning Friday with the women at home to Mesa and the men away at Colorado School of Mines, followed by Sunday's matchups of the men at home to Colorado Christian and the women switching places and taking on Mines themselves, down in Golden. As has been a common theme all season for Coach Damian Clark and his Hawks, a lack of goal scoring hurt FLC in both games. In the first game of the weekend, FLC took on Mesa but struggled to find the back of the net after hammering it with 12 shots and 4 on goal. Flip throw specialist Brooke Millett led the offensive stats with 3 shots and 2 on goal, but a Mesa goal just before the stroke of half-time held the women's team to a 1-0 loss. Sunday brought a new opposition in the form of Mines, but again FLC had only 5 shots in the 90 minutes of play, with only 1 of those on target. Caitlin Espinoza put up 82 minutes in goal, from which she kept the Mines score tally down to just the 1 goal, with 2 saves. Mines took the victory overall 1-0. Results-wise, Ogie Kennedy's men's team fared much better, ending the weekend with 2 wins and a joint second-place finish in the RMAC Conference. On Friday, the Fort brought back from 1-0 down with a goal from forward Luke Lawrence to leave the game level at the end of regulation. The Lawrence brothers duo of Luke and Zach combined for the winner 8 minutes into overtime for Luke's second of the game and the game-winning score. After travelling back to Durango, FLC men's soccer faced a poor Colorado Christian side that have only achieved 2 wins this season. Nevertheless, Christian's defence remains resilient, and despite an FLC 30-80 shot advantage, the game again went into sudden death overtime. This time it only took 29 seconds for Yanis Becker to step up and score the game winner. For highlights and interviews with Ogie Kennedy, remember to tune into IDTV's Back of the Net show. Visit durangotv.com to see that one. In high school news, the Bayfield Wolverines volleyball team have been given the number 3 seed for the Colorado High School Activities Association Class 3A state tournament this weekend up in Denver. Friday's matchups for the Wolverines will be against Pagosa Springs and Manitou Springs, with the winner of each of the 4 pools making it all the way to the semi-finals. Good luck on that one. Durango Demons volleyball didn't fare as well in the Class 4A Region 8 finale last Saturday. The number 17 Demons missed out on a trip to Denver for the state finals next weekend after losing to the number 8 Berthoud Spartans. The Spartans took the first and second sets before the Demons answered back with a close 27-25 win, but lost the final bout 25-10 for the 3-1 loss. And now I'm here joined today with Lynne Andrews of the Fort Lewis College, and you're the Associate Athletic Director.
Yes, that is correct.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, how are you?
Good to see you. So what does that mean as the Associate Athletic Director?
Well, unfortunately, in a small athletic department like ours, I wear a lot of hats. And so to be the associate, obviously, is almost kind of one step below the athletic director. But I do mainly the NCAA compliance for all of our student athletes, our incoming and returning. And I do a lot of the budgeting for the department, but I also help with the game management, scheduling, just a lot of different things. So anything that obviously anybody needs, but specifically like there to take care of the student athletes and the coaches.
Now, in terms of compliance, I think that's a very interesting topic to talk about. You must have a minefield of documents that you must have to go through to make sure all of your athletes are staying in compliance.
Yeah, it's a daily task. I mean, it's something. It's so important that the NCAA just came down with a rule that they're looking to propose to say that all compliance people need to be full-time employees, where some institutions actually have a coach that does it as almost a part-time job, but it is a full-time job, and it entails knowing a lot of the rules and filling out a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. So let's say in a far-fetched world, I was a soccer player coming from high school.
Okay.
I wanted to come to Fort Lewis. It'd been agreed with the coaches. Where do I go from there in terms of compliance and making sure I'm eligible?
Well, it depends if you're a freshman or if you're a transfer. If you're a freshman, then a lot of it gets done by the Eligibility Center. The NCAA has its own entity, an organization that will determine that and let us know if you'll be able to come in and compete, compete, and receive athletic aid in your first year. If you're a transfer student, then it depends on how well you did at the previous institution. So you have to be eligible at the previous institution before you'd be eligible at ours, so that the NCAA just makes sure that student athletes don't kind of jump around and think they can just go to another school very easily. So it's a long process.
And there's a rule where if you transfer, is it between 3 different 4-year schools and you sit a year?
Yeah, you just can't. Yeah, the NCAA, again, they want you to go to college, they want you to get your education, get your degree, and be able to play the sport you love. But if you don't like it at the first place and you transfer to a second one, you know, there's a chance for you to do that with a one-time transfer exception. But if not, outside of that, if you try to transfer again, then they're like, well, maybe you need to take some time and figure out what you want to do and really get your academics in order, so they make them sit for a year.
Now, speaking of academics, once my prospective soccer player has become part of the school, what GPA do they need to keep to be eligible?
Well, really just with the NCAA, to be eligible from one year to the next, they just need to pass 24 credits with a 2.0. But there are some new legislations coming down too to talk about increasing that. They just feel like that seems like a low number, it seems easily attainable, but you'll find that sometimes it's not. But they feel like the graduation rates are showing that you can actually have a 2.2 or higher and still be successful. So I think they're looking to change that here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, now in terms of Fort Lewis, how do we kind of rank in terms of athletes staying above that? Do we dip under much? Is there much?
Oh no, I mean, every year when I do the grade checks and give the coaches, there's a few that might need to go to summer school to kind of get their GPA up, but for the most part we're doing really well. Our overall team GPA for the entire department is right about a 3.0. So we take pride in that. We actually make it a competition within the sports to say which team's got the highest GPA. So we take pride in that.
And who's winning?
Usually women's basketball is right towards the top there, and obviously a few years ago they were top in the nation, so they've been able to hold it on, but we definitely have some other sports that are kind of nipping at their heels.
Yeah. It's definitely a proud moment for the athletics department when you're winning on the field, but then you're getting the All-American in the academics as well as the athletics.
Yeah, and I think that's Division II athletics right there. That's that package deal where, you know, when we bring in recruits and parents, that's the one thing that I stress, is that they're here to get an education first and then be able to have an opportunity to play the sport they love and have them go hand in hand. And it's actually doable to do in 4 years now too, that you can get in and get your degree and play your eligibility and then go on with life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming today, and now it's playoff season for SKYHAWKS, so good luck in the fall playoffs.
Yeah, let's go. Men's and women's soccer.
Yep, and then basketball season starts soon, just around the corner.
Oh, just around the corner, yep. So back in the gym once the snow flies.
Yep. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
After this, Moni Grushkin with the business news.
This week's sports news from Durango and further afield is brought to you by Mercy Regional Medical Center, inspiring health.
El Moro Spirits and Tavern is located at 945 Main Avenue in the building that once housed the El Moro Saloon. Our food is modern rustic, common foods from the early 20th century refreshed with modern culinary techniques. With handcrafted cocktails, an extensive beer list, and 40 wines, our beverage menu is approachable and affordable. For more information, call 259-5555 or visit elmorotavern.com.
Next, the business update, brought to you by the First Southwest Bank and the La Plata County Economic Alliance.
I'm Moni Grushkin with this week's business news. Durango Mountain Resort is about to become part of a southwestern skiing complex that includes Sipapu near Taos, New Mexico, Parajito Mountain and Los Alamos, New Mexico, and the Arizona Snowbowl in Flagstaff, Arizona. Durango Mountain Resort announced this week that its chairman, Mr. Chuck Cobb, and the shareholder group, including the Duncan family and others, have agreed to sell 100% of the resort's assets to James Coleman, a Durango businessman and avid skier who has lived in the area for 10 years. Coleman has owned Sipapu for the past 15 years and recently brokered deals to purchase Snowbowl and Parajito ski areas. The 4 southwestern resorts will form the largest collective ski experience in the Southwest, with more than 3,000 skiable acres, 200 trails, 26 lifts, and 13 terrain parks. In a news release from the Durango Mountain Resort, Coleman said he plans to expand terrain and extend the ski season as much as possible. He also will purchase Durango Mountain utilities and adjoining real estate. He plans to develop additional lodging, residential, and commercial properties. The current management team will remain in place, with Gary Dirk as Chief Executive Officer, Mark Sider as Chief Financial Officer, and Mike McCormick as Senior Vice President. Purgatory was founded in 1965 and celebrates its 50th anniversary next year. Ska Brewing founders Dave Thibodeau, Bill Graham, and Matt Vincent claim that it takes character to brew beer with character. So they're telling their story with the release of Ska Brewer's first ever comic book. Inside Durango News correspondent Ted Holteen recently met with Thibodeau to find out what the alleged graphic novel is all about.
Well, if you're like me and you've been drinking Ska beer for the last 19 years or so, you're probably very familiar with the artwork that's gained the brewery as many accolades as the beer itself. Now, almost 20 years after the formation of Ska Brewing Company, Dave Thibodeau, Bill Graham, and Matt Vincent have ventured into the world of publishing. So, here it is. It is called Tales of the Legion of Ska. I am with Dave Thibodeau, co-founder of Ska Brewing. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Ted. Since the inception of the brewery back in '95, we've, way back then, we wrote the comic book. It's still almost word for word what we wrote back then. And over the years, we've kind of piecemeal put images from the comic book together on our packaging and on the walls of the brewery and various places throughout the stuff that we've done, but we've never actually compiled it all into the actual comic book. So that basically the script has always been there, and bits and pieces of the artwork, but we finally compiled it and anti-digitally printed this sucker on paper. We got the True Blonde.
Yeah.
She, I don't want to give anything away, but she is the heroine.
Okay.
Lana Lavabond, and then of course, when you get in here, you see that there's the pinstripe red character, who is the skeleton that has graced many of our...
Probably the most familiar ska character, I would say.
Yeah, and he's the CEO of the Rotgutson International Beverage Corporation. And you can start to put the pieces together that he is evil and we are good.
The antagonist of the story, if you will?
Yep.
Okay.
And so yeah, and there's some of the thugs in there, Buster Nut Brown. We've always had a retro look, and so we were kind of tied into some of the comic books, the style that we grew up with. I do anticipate a second volume.
In another 19 years, or?
No, we're gonna get this one around, and it'll feature our Raven.
Okay.
Along with probably our barroom hero. If you buy merchandise off the website, select merchandise, you'll get a comic book as well. But then we are throwing them, a limited amount of them will be in our mixed up 12 packs of cans. It's been part of what we've been doing since day one. We really did write this when before the brewery was really up and running. It was when we very first started. I think it's a great idea, and I think it falls right in line with what we do. Granted, it's not a beer, you know, but we don't spend a lot of money on print advertising, and I think it's a fun way to kind of tell the story and let people know what we're all about, and hopefully reach a little larger demographic and a little different demographic. Maybe some of the comic geeks out there that aren't beer geeks might pick up on it now. Our motto or our tag is that it takes characters to brew beer with character, which I think the essence of that is that it really does kind of tie together what we've done. And as I mentioned, you know, the True Blonde character, it's one of our best-selling beers, is our True Blonde. You can see by the label that it's from a comic book. And same with the Pinstripe, who's kind of iconic within our walls here. We have skeletons that have pretty much adorned everything from t-shirts to walls to six-packs to bottles to cans. A lot of the stuff that we've written and put out as far as like point of sale type stuff, you know, flyers, posters, displays over the years. We obviously have a big focus on the skeletons, and but it's all really one guy. It's the Pinstripe, so there's that character too. And it's sort of our marketing plan since day one has been to keep working with these characters and letting the story evolve, as you said. And so there's going to continue to be more characters. I think the employees that we have all have a fair amount of character. Our beers certainly have characters. And I think this is just kind of a nice way to tie it all together, and it's certainly a fun way to tie it all together.
Excellent. Well, David, thank you so much. Look for it in stores near you, specially marked mixed 12 packs of Ska products throughout the country at this point, and Sweden, I hear.
Yeah, I don't think the 12 packs will be in Sweden, but maybe we'll ship a comic book or two.
Right on. Thanks so much, Dave. Back to you.
Okay, so it's not a graphic novel, but you can pick one up at Ska Brewing or by purchasing a variety 12-pack of Ska beers. How would you like to win 20 hours of free parking? The Durango Business Improvement District, along with 40 businesses in downtown Durango, plan to give away 80 parking cards loaded with $20 or 20 hours of parking. All you need to do is register at one of the businesses. Names will be drawn on December 8th. Tim Walsworth, Executive Director of the Business Improvement District, says the bid is giving away the tickets to encourage local area residents to shop locally.
So starting November 10th, we'll have about 40 merchants downtown that have signed up to take entries for this free parking giveaway. And you can go into any of these 40 stores as many times as you want and enter to win. And that'll start November 10th. On December the 8th, we will do the drawings, and 80 people will win these cards, these $20 cards.
Learn more about the giveaway at downtowndurango.org. Coming up next, Southwest Colorado Life, sponsored by the Durango Coffee Company.
The business update has been brought to you by First Southwest Bank and the La Plata County Economic Alliance.
Probably about 8 years ago, when Jason first got into home brewing, we started talking about opening up a brewery and what it would mean in different locations, and we just put it on the back burner so we could do our other careers. And then probably 2 years ago, we really decided to open up the brewery, and we knew that Pagosa was the spot.
When we were putting together the business plan for Riff Raff Brewing Company, we were looking at the need for a lot of capital to fund all the systems and equipment that we needed to make craft beer. And we knew that it would be challenging to find a partner. From an experience of going through a really difficult process of getting capital together, banking is a difficult place to get money for a business like this. We felt like the entire way First Southwest Bank really not only held our hand and shepherded us through the process, but they also embraced our business and tried to understand the model. And we are not quite a restaurant, but we're not quite a packaging brewery. And First Southwest did a really good job of trying to learn how to bridge that gap and present the data to the SBA so that we could go forward, secure the loan, and do it as quickly as possible with as few roadblocks. Would we recommend First Southwest Bank for aspiring entrepreneurs? Yeah, darn tootin'.
Southwest Colorado Lifestyles with Ashley Dickson is brought to you by the Durango Coffee Company, a special place for cooks, coffee, and friends.
I'm Ashley Dickson and you're watching Inside Durango News. We have a new feature for you this week called Chef's Secrets with Chef Joseph Seacup and Jessica Boston. Chef Precup teaches at the Manna Soup Kitchen for the Southwest Community College.
Chef Secrets has been brought to you by the Durango Coffee Company, a special place for cooks, coffee and friends since 1984.
Hi, welcome to Chef Secrets. I'm Jessica Boston. I'm here today with Chef Joseph Precup, and we're going to learn a few tips on how to properly chop up garlic. So now I use garlic in probably everything I cook at home, but it is kind of difficult to really find a great way, an easy way to chop it. So is there a better method of chopping versus slicing, crushing?
Depends on who you ask. There's several different ways to do it. The most common would be to pop it with your knife.
Okay.
And then give it that same rough chop.
Okay.
Chef I worked with, his grandmother swore that when you did that, it made the garlic bitter.
Oh, okay.
I don't personally believe that, but because he told me so, I am compelled to always do this.
Sure.
The Goodfellas method. Nice and thin. So we have some different gadgets I got from the Durango Coffee Company.
Okay.
All super handy in the kitchen. We have the first one, your standard garlic press.
Oh, nice.
This one's handy, pretty cool because we got a separate side that'll slice it.
Oh, very cool. And you got this at Durango Coffee Company?
Yes. We also have the garlic zoom.
Okay.
My wife loves this. Put your garlic in there.
See, that's something I would buy because it looks like a little Hot Wheels car. Oh, that's
Comes up
great.
all nice and minced.
Wow. All right, Chef Joseph. Well, thank you so much for showing us some tricks and easy tips on how to chop and mince garlic and other vegetables. Now, I understand you're also teaching a class at Southwest Colorado Community College. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. We do a couple classes a year. They're 16-week programs, fully accredited.
Okay.
Students will leave here with a culinary certificate and an internship job waiting. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty cool program.
Okay, so when does the next one start?
Next one starts January 19th.
Okay.
Registration starts November 3rd.
Okay, excellent. And is there a place they can go online or in person to check that out or to register?
You can go down to Southwest Colorado Community College, register there, or come see me here at the Manna Soup Kitchen.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Chef's Secrets. I'm Jessica Boston here with Chef Joseph Precup. Thank you for showing us some of your chef secrets, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Chef Secrets has been brought to you by the Durango Coffee Company, a special place for cooks, coffee and friends since 1984.
And after that demonstration, I'm pretty sure I want to try chopping with something a little bit sharper than a butter knife. Today I have Beth and Tim, and they're with the Durango Winter Sports Foundation, and you guys have got to be getting excited because when we're out here, it almost feels like the first snow is in the air.
It absolutely does, and we're very excited because our Winter Gala, which is now Alpenglow at Purgatory, is coming up on November 15th, and we're going to be inducting 3 champions of Paralympics adaptive sports into our Hall of Fame, and I'm going to let Tim introduce those people.
Very exciting.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Kind of digging back into our history, adaptive sports is a little over 31 years old now, and our founder, Dave Spencer, is being inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. along with one of our original board members that sat on the porch and worked on the 501c3 paperwork with him, Lana Jo Chapin, and a protege of hers, a young lady that started skiing with us when she was 3 years old and went on and became a Paralympic champion, Mary Riddell out of Dove Creek, Colorado.
Wow, so it sounds like with these inductees, it's all coming full circle, relating it back to adaptive sports. That's exciting.
Very exciting. You know, for Durango to call itself a ski town, you have to really think about the kids in this town who come up skiing. And the mission of Durango Winter Sports is local kids doing great things and that every kid gets a start. And even though adaptive sports isn't formally under the umbrella of Durango Winter Sports Foundation, we're all related. And so within Durango Winter Sports Foundation, we have the Alpine team, the Freestyle team, and the Nordic team. And when you stop and look at the list of folks that have been inducted over the past 8 years, it was just a natural this year for Lana Jo Chapin, Mary Riddell, and Dave Spencer. And of course, Dave Spencer, for whom the center is named for, up in Purgatory.
Yeah, the center's named after him. We still have our biggest fundraising event every year. The Dave Spencer
Ski
Ski Classic
Classic
is named after him. And he passed away back in 1986 at about 26 years old. And it's interesting to watch this lasting impact that he has had on an organization. Many of the people who are involved nowadays, of course, never met him.
Yeah.
But he's still, I think, a guiding light for the organization. And I love to see this full circle coming back.
Yeah, well, it's obviously his legacy lives on, and for the kids that are coming up and getting involved in the Winter Sports Foundation, I'm sure it's just amazingly inspiring for them to hear his story as well.
Dave's the reason why I'm in the nonprofit world. At the time, I was working as an accountant at Purgatory, bookkeeper probably is a better term, and he was so great. He would, they had these spirit days at Purgatory. This is in like 84, 85, and he would ski around in a bathrobe with a name tag on that said Lester Polyester, and they had a costume on one day that he and Jim Middleton, another founder of Adaptive Sports, had, and they were Purgy's Tub as opposed to Purgy's Pub, and so they skied around all day with this giant tub that they shared on their heads, and at the end of the day they hopped in the tub, sang in Purgy's Pub, and of course Ralph Dinosaur was there in the bar to witness this. So,
and that's how you achieve legend status.
Right.
That's
he doesn't have a name on a hill yet on the backside, but the biggest thing that Dave Spencer taught me was that you never stop trying. He was, his life was fading in '86 of cancer. I was new to the world of nonprofits, and he just said, you never stop trying. You have to ask everybody and anybody to get involved. And then you look at the pioneering spirit of Lana Jo Chapin. There was a time when she had more Olympic, national, world championship medals in Durango than any other athlete. And we think about a town with, Ned Overend, Tom Danielson, Tad Elliott, the Barnes twins, Lana Jo. We actually had a Lana Jo Day back in the years. And then my favorite thing about Mary Riddell was she first started skiing with adaptive sports when she was 3. And she went on to be a multi-medalist in Japan, in Salt Lake City. She had 11 Crystal Globes on the World Cup Tour. And that's happening here in our corner of the world. This isn't happening on the I-70 corridor with Vail and Aspen and all the powerhouse. And Mary would come in from Dove Creek, and we'd hear a big thump on our porch every now and then. Her family started adobe milling, and there'd be a giant box of beans left behind.
Nice. Well, just to circle it around, because we're running out of time, and I definitely want to make sure we talk about the event. So it is November 15th. I know it's a 007 theme. What are some of the details for people looking for tickets?
It's
do I have to wear a black tie?
Yeah, you know it's Durango. You can show up in
I was going to go for
it is Durango.
I was going to go for the Bond girl.
November 15th at Purgy's at Purgatory Resort, presented by Durango Mountain Resort and the Timbers at Edgemont Resort. It's a $75 ticket. You can find your tickets online at durangowintersports.org. We have casino night, we have the induction, we have food, we have fun. You could play a hand of blackjack and win 5 nights in a condo on the North Shore.
Oh, wow.
In Hawaii.
And sitting out here at Hawaii sounds great right about now.
Let's all go to Hawaii.
So Winter Sports Foundation.
DurangoWintersports.org.
DurangoWintersports.org for tickets.
November 15th, great way to kick off the winter. It's one of those nights when in the middle of the party it suddenly starts snowing outside and everyone goes crazy.
Nice.
So thank you so much for this time to talk about these.
Oh no, and hopefully we'll direct people to the website and you guys will have a full house on that night.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We've got up next some tips on what you should put in your winter survival kit.
I'm Scotty Smith with your weather trivia on Inside Durango News. When the snow hits, it's time to start thinking about preparing for winter driving. And while you may think that all you need are snow tires and chains, emergency responders recommend that you pack a survival kit in case you get stranded. We checked several weather sites online to come up with a list of items that will help you to survive a driving emergency. Pack a first aid kit along with any medications you're taking. You can't take your blood pressure medication on time if it's at home and you're stuck in the car. Pack blankets or sleeping bags for warmth. Spare winter clothes are a good idea too. Do you have old ski pants, mittens, coats, and hats? Pack those in a duffel and keep them in your trunk. Buy a short-handled shovel that will fit easily in your trunk or maybe in the back of your car. Metal is recommended, especially if you need to chop ice or pack snow. A flashlight should be in your car for all seasons along with fresh batteries. During winter, extra candles and matches can provide warmth. Hand warmers are a good idea too. You can find those at any outdoor equipment store. Bring fresh water for you and any pets that may be accompanying you. Pack non-perishable, high-protein food items. Protein will help keep you warm. If you bring canned food, be sure that they have self-opening lids, or be sure to bring along a manual so you can have an opener. Cat litter or sand is a good idea too, to keep in your trunk, just for traction. If you don't have reflective clothing, buy some light sticks like kids carry on Halloween. You can wear them if you have to get out of your car at night. Flares are a good idea too. Bring a whistle to signal for help. And finally, bring your common sense. If you should find yourself stuck in a vehicle during a winter storm, don't leave your car. A policeman or a snowplow can't come to your rescue if they can't find you. I'm Scotty Smith for Inside Durango News. Southwest Colorado Lifestyles with Ashley Dickson is brought to you by the Durango Coffee Company, a special place for cooks, coffee, and friends.
Remember when a great cup of coffee was hard to find? 30 years ago, we served Durango's first locally roasted coffee, and we invite you to join Durango Coffee Company on November 7th when we roll back coffee and tea drinks to 1984 prices. Celebrate our 30th anniversary with 30% discounts on Durango Coffee Company's special blend. First 30 customers receive 30% off almost everything in the store. Free gifts for purchases over $30. Prize drawings, free samples of coffee and pastry treats. Thanks, Durango, for a great 30 years. Durango Coffee Company, a special place for cooks, coffee, and friends since 1984.
This portion of Inside Durango News is brought to you by the Durango Arts Center, where Durango creates, promotes, and participates in the arts.
I'm Ashley Dickson, and you're watching Inside Durango News. On the first Thursday of every month, the galleries in downtown Durango stay open later. Our arts and entertainment correspondent, Ted Holteen, has more on what's in store for this November's Gallery Walk.
Well, every month there is a first Thursday, obviously, and this month, the first Thursday of November comes a bit late. However, every first Thursday, all of the downtown galleries here in Durango follow a national trend by putting on some public events. And one of the more active galleries here in Durango is Towatin, and I'm here with co-owner Antonia Clark. Hello, Antonia.
Hi.
And for this first Thursday, now if you're seeing this broadcast at about 5 p.m. Thursday, when it first comes out, you're going to be a little late making the event. However, most of the events are introducing displays that are on for the month or even longer, and that is the case here at Towatin, and that's why we've chosen to be here. If you could tell us a bit about this fascinating collection that we're surrounded by at the moment. I know that this came from some pawn shops. Is that correct?
Well, some of it came from pawn shops. We have an association with a woman who has been in the Indian jewelry business for probably 50 years, and she and her husband at one time supplied jewelry to a lot of the national parks and the larger concessionaires around the country. And in the process, when she would find a really exceptional piece, she would buy it and keep it for herself. So she has this wonderful collection that she has decided she will sell. And we are lucky enough that she's decided to consign all of her best pieces to us for the next 2 months for us to display and to sell for her. So a lot of these, some of these came from the older pawn shops on the Navajo Reservation when the traders were allowed to take pawn. And there are pieces.
Explain a bit about that history. It's a fascinating story, and you told me a bit about it off camera. I was not familiar that that is the way these trading posts operated, and then that changed. If you could just give us a brief overview.
Well, the trading posts on the reservation were there really to service the native people. And the Navajo people were their friends, their customers, And they also bought Navajo weavings and other things from there, and so they were their vendors. And when you live on the Navajo reservation and have some wonderful jewelry or wonderful saddles, it's not really safe to leave them in your home all the time because you're really out in the middle of nowhere. So it was, as you said, it's kind of a safety deposit box for them to take their valuable items to the trading post and pawn them for a small amount of money. Often the traders would not give them very much money for a very valuable piece. And this was mistaken as being greedy on the trader's part, but actually what he was doing was giving them a small amount of money so that they would be able to gather that amount of money back up and redeem the pieces when they wanted them back.
Sure, so if somebody is given $5,000 for a piece, it's very unlikely that that person will be able to raise the $5,000 plus to get it back. So if you start with a lower pawn price, it's more attainable. Is that
exactly? And the purpose of the trader really was to just provide a service for the native people to keep their pieces safe, and also, you know, the Navajo people don't own the property that their homes are on, so home equity loans like we use often to borrow money were not an option. So it was a way for them to get a little cash quickly and then be able to keep their property safe and then take it back when they wanted it for a ceremony or for a special event.
Now, at some point that stopped, and that is how someone like Susan was able to amass this type of collection. Is that correct?
That's correct. Like a lot of times pawn would go dead, and the Navajo have a very strong suspicion about death and dead people, and a lot of times they wouldn't redeem something that had belonged to a dead relative because of their suspicions. And so eventually the trader would need to sell the pieces. Also, I think she worked directly with a number of very good jewelers, and she would buy directly from them some really special pieces, and rather than reselling them, she would keep them. And that's part of what this collection is about.
So it's the old not what you know so much as who you know, correct?
Often. That's often the case, right.
Now, in general, and this is something that fascinates me about this particular gallery. Very often, the purpose of a gallery is to introduce folks to new and upcoming artists, and I know that you folks do that here. But I get a sense there's as much a museum quality to this gallery. There's a great deal of history here. There's so many pieces like this that, quite frankly, are not brand new by any means.
Right.
Is that something that, I know this has been generations for your family. Is that kind of preservation one of your goals here?
Yeah, and the other thing is that there's so many wonderful pieces that were created, pottery, baskets, jewelry, weavings, in the 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and then since then, that people have collected, and now they have their collections and they either want to liquidate them themselves or their children are inheriting them, not really having the place for them. And so there are a number of people who have actually put it in their will that when they pass away, they should contact Jackson Clark at Towatin Gallery, and he will take the collections and sell them for them on consignment and give them a fair price. So we have probably the best collection of weavings and jewelry and pottery that we've ever had. And some collections took 50 years to put together, and now they're all here in one place at one time, which is pretty spectacular.
It really is, and Jackson has done a lot of work. I've known and watched him in action, and it's really fascinating to watch how this kind of business is sustained. It's really a unique business. I don't think a lot of folks deal with that kind of historical art on a daily basis like you guys do, and it really is interesting.
Well, and we operate a little bit like the old-time trading post, like my mother's father ran. You know, we work directly with the weavers in a lot of cases, and it's got a great old flavor and also a great new flavor. And as you can see, we have just a lot of wonderful merchandise right now. So most of the jewelry, most of the products that we have right now, probably 75% of them, are more antique and historic collections, high-quality collections.
Indeed, and this collection will be on display into December near Christmas, is that correct?
Through Christmas. She's agreed to leave these with us until the end of the year.
So once again, if you miss First Thursday, and that could happen because, well, we're filming this on Thursday, but there are 17 other galleries that are participating in First Thursday every month. Each month you'll find new artists, new items, just fantastic stuff. Towatin is a wonderful starting place for First Thursdays. So make your start here, make the rounds, and have a great time. Take in all the art that is here available in Durango. Antonia, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, and I'd just like to say that we will have the first Thursday show in December will feature Stanton Inglehart's wonderful paintings, which is, people that have lived here for a long time are familiar with Stanton. We will have a new collection of his paintings available.
Andy, that might bring us back too in a few weeks, so do stay tuned for that. Thanks again, Antonia.
Thank you.
Back to you.
That's it for this week's edition of Inside Durango News. Be sure to catch the latest news on the area's nonprofits with our new program called Around Town. Around Town highlights the nonprofits community and its donors, volunteers, and special events. If you'd like your special event to be included on Around Town, send us a note at ideas@durangotv.com. And for more about what's happening in Durango, go to what'shappeningdurango.com. Post your free event today and join the one-stop, easy-to-use local events calendar for Durango. A special thanks to the Durango Public Library for providing this week's venue for Inside Durango News. I'm Ashley Dickson. Thanks for tuning in to Durango's only televised news magazine, bringing you local content that matters.
Arts and Entertainment with Ted Holteen has been brought to you by the Durango Arts Center, where Durango creates, promotes, and participates in the arts.